a lot of us, myself included, kind of brushed aside Trevor Lawrence's rookie season, right? The situation was bad. Urban Meyer's at the club, grinding with someone that's not his wife. Urban Meyer's kicking kickers. Like, how could you work in this environment, right? Nobody could survive in this environment. But it wasn't just a little blip, right? Trevor Lawrence just also wasn't good. So a lot of people brush that aside and say, well, he's so talented, he's going to be fine. Are you buying or selling that Trevor Lawrence is going to be just fine and we can kind of push his rookie season aside because Urban Meyer was such a train wreck?
I
know.
The Trevor Lawrence thing, I think that the Urban Meyer points are legitimate, right? Like, that was clearly a toxic environment to be in. It was also like the kind of extra part of that is it was a terrible offense. Like, structurally, it was a schematically bad offense. People were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Route concepts were lousy. Trevor Lawrence was not in any way, shape, or form being set up for success, like just at all. So I do buy into the idea that like it was very difficult for him to come out of that season and look good, right? But there is a question of like, yeah, but how not good did he look, right? And whether it's Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson, there's a degree to which players that were that hyped, and by that I mean Trevor Lawrence was billed as the best quarterback prospect to come along since at least Andrew Luck. So that's going back a decade, right? There were people that said, forget Andrew Luck, you got to go back to Peyton Manning. That's going back to 1998. That's not even in this millennium. There were people that said, forget Peyton Manning. You got to go all the way back to John Elway. That's back to 83. Like, that's back to the point where we were barely born, right? The term generational gets thrown around a lot now, but that's the legitimate definition of generational. I mean, that's 83, 98, 2012. That's the kind of sequence we're talking about here. So for him to come out of last season and like, if you came away, if you asked anybody, you showed them their Trevor Lawrence's tape last year, you're like, how good a prospect was this guy? Like, how much was his hype a year ago? There's not a soul in the world would be telling you, oh, this is a generational quarterback talent. I've never seen, I have to go all the way back to the late 90s to imagine a guy that looked this good. So you just didn't see that kind of hype. And Zach Wilson, the reason I throw him in that bucket as well is, Trevor Lawrence was the consensus number one quarterback in that draft. If there were, the people from left field, the guys, the contrarians had Zach Wilson as the number one. They're like, Trevor Lawrence is great and all, and I agree, he's this incredible prospect, but Zach Wilson's special is better. Zach Wilson's arm is better. Zach Wilson does more insane Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers type of things, and all I care about is ceiling. So I'm going to have Zach Wilson as the number one QB. Like, those two guys didn't show it year one. And it's not just that it was all over the place and, we saw a lot of good and a lot of bad. They just didn't really show the good. You look at Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence played 1,022 snaps last season. And he had 22 plus one graded plays, right? There's nothing
big time throws,
higher than that.
Nothing.
So that's just a very small percentage, and it's a smaller percentage than I would have expected to see, even for a guy in a toxic work environment with a crappy offense. Like, I just would have expected more plays where Trevor Lawrence went, to hell with it. I'm an elite prospect. I'm going to make something stupid happen, and you're just going to have to sit here and watch it.
Yeah, that's my concern with Lawrence. There was not enough of that, right? I mean, even just 6 yards per attempt, average depth of target was just over 8. So he's throwing the ball on the conservative side, only the 22 big time throws. I thought at the very least, even in that environment, you would have some like special comebacks, special throws and comeback opportunities. I thought you'd see more of the special come out from Trevor Lawrence, and I didn't see that. I also was concerned when he did turn the ball over and when he did put the ball in harm's way. It was just a lot of tardiness, right? So right or wrong system good, system bad, spacing's bad, Tavon Austin's an outside receiver, all of that stuff aside, he was just late. He was tardy on a lot of stuff, and I think that was really concerning for me with Lawrence.
And honestly, if you go back to his college tape, they're not new things,
True.
Right? both those things. One, like that was a flaw of his in college, was being late to some things. Two, you didn't see like an off the charts level of special plays from Trevor Lawrence. It was more, we anointed this guy day one and he was very good from that point on, but did he ever go from very good to like insane, right? The best grades we've ever seen, right? Like, did he ever have a season like Mac Jones where he had like a 95, 96 grade, a season like Baker Mayfield, a season like Kyler Murray? These guys,
Joe Burrow.
What we're learning with those PFF college grades is that there is actually a significant difference between like guys that can break 90 and guys that can push that to like 94, 95, 96, right? Like that rarefied air. There is a gradation. There is like a difference between just being very good / elite and taking that grade to somewhere utterly ridiculous. Lawrence never did that. Now the body of work as a whole was crazy, and 6'6", 220, like he's the perfect prototype, and we anointed this guy from day one. He never showed us anything different. So I think it was fair for him to be an incredibly hyped prospect, but I'm not sure he was ever justifiably, generational. Like, I'm not sure he ever earned that kind of moniker, that hyperbole. And if he didn't, then I'm not sure, like, you're looking at that year one and saying, okay, year one was ugly. On the other hand, we know he's a generational prospect, therefore he will overcome. Like, now we're just like, year one was bad. And, year one that's bad for good quarterbacks doesn't necessarily come good.
So are you selling Trevor Lawrence is going to be just fine and back on to generational prospect status?
Yeah. So those are two different questions, I think. If just like, again, I need sort of definition of just fine. If
How about
you're saying,
massive improvement? He graded at 59.6 last year. We're going to see him grade up at least 75 this year. Big step forward in year two.
Well, how about this? I think Trevor Lawrence will never get back to being seen as, a generational prospect.
Okay. I mean, my prediction for early in his career was going to be similar to Andrew Luck, where
right. Luck got back there.
Right, Luck did, but like Luck had those. He graded in the high 70s. His grades were never elite, but you saw elite play, right? You saw a lot on his plate. Right. You saw a lot of big mistakes that he made, but it was complemented with incredible plays.
And that's where, like, that's sort of my concern with the Lawrence thing, right? Is that it wasn't like Luck, right? We didn't see.
I wanted to see that.
Even if the grade had ended up in the same place, like you didn't see as much high end as we saw from Luck, even when Luck was like quote unquote struggling, and wasn't playing the sort of truly elite special football we know he can play. There were so many mistakes, but we always saw the crazy highs, of his game. We didn't see that from Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, I'm selling the idea that Trevor Lawrence ever gets back to being seen as that special generational quarterback.
All right, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to say he's back on track. He'll get back to what I thought he was going to be, which is like this Luck trajectory, which using PFF standards, Luck didn't peak until year 4, 5, 6. And he had some weird blips in there too, but he didn't start grading at 90 plus until he retired, basically, until he was ready to retire.